What do you think of very specific trigger warnings, like eye contact trigger warning? I think people who need that need to go outside. This is like a fully reactionary position that I have that I'll defend till my dying day, okay? You're like, if you need trigger warnings for anything more than the most like obviously triggering you shouldn't be given them, because you being coddled like that will not benefit you in the long run. If you need eye contact trigger warnings before seeing somebody's selfie where they're looking at the camera, I fully believe that you need to like like it's not good for you to be coddled in this way. You have to you got to not, okay? Yeah, ceaseless coddling is not a socialist value. I agree. Okay? Look, if there's a content warning I like the term content warning over trigger warning, by the way, because content warning just sounds so much more like mature than trigger warning. Like, like, because the word trigger has been like ruined. Content warning sounds better. But if it's like content warning, sexual assault, some stuff like that, child abuse. Okay, yeah, I totally get it. So tryptophobia, arachnophobia, fear of heights, just coddling. Okay, I want to be clear. A lot of people will claim to have phobias when they don't, all right? So I have a fear of heights, but I don't have a phobia. A fear of heights is a normal thing to feel because heights are dangerous. Spiders, the same. Like, there are a lot of regular fears that people can have that are just a fear it's fine. Like, that's normal. A phobia is a like a medical descriptor for a specific, like it needs to be a little bit more, like for instance, I fear the deep sea. If you've seen me play Subnautica, you know this, but I don't like to say that I have a thalassophobia because I don't think I do. If I had thalassophobia, I don't think I could play Subnautica, I can play Subnautica. I get a little spooked, but I think that's just because it's kind of spooky. It's fine. Like, you wouldn't say that you have, like, a fear of knives because you watch a horror movie with a knife in it, and there's, like, a spooky part with a knife. Like, it's a knife, It's a horror movie. It's like, I have a fear of clowns. Do you? Or did you just watch it, a horror movie with a clown, and it scared you? Because that's not the same as having a fear of clowns. That's just a movie where the clown is the scary thing, Thalassophobia? Thalassophobia, not thalassophobia. Gotcha. Anyway, the point is, I do feel like sometimes people get very coddled by content warnings in a way that might be detrimental in the long term. What's the difference between a medical phobia? Okay, so for me, I would like, in terms of whether or not it's a phobia, I would run by the same definition that people use for mental illness, which is that a mental illness needs to negatively impact your life, right? Like, for instance, you can't say a person is bipolar just because they occasionally have ups and downs, because everyone does. The idea for bipolar disorder to be diagnosed, it has to meet a criteria, one of which is it has to negatively impact your life. Like, it has to be an impediment. It has to hurt you in some way. Same with, like, everything else, Same with any other condition. So likewise, a fear of spiders can't just be you're wary of spiders, because let's be real, everyone is. Like, they're spiders. It needs to be like negatively impact your life. So for me, the difference would be like, do you have a fear of spiders? Like, if you see a spider on a web in a bush outside, do you go, ah, and like step around it? That to me is normal because it's a spider, But if you know that there's a spider on a web, on a bush outside in your front yard, and for that reason, you won't go out the front, but will go out the back, that to me sounds like a phobia, where it goes beyond just an aversion to them and turns into an irrational fear to the point where it's you like you couldn't justify that behavior logically, like when talking about how you don't like the spider. To an extent, a lot of fears can be described as irrational, but there are degrees. What's the difference between between hypochondria and germophobia? I don't know. Well, hypochondria means you have a tendency to over-exaggerate negative health symptoms. Hypochondria isn't a phobia. It's like a kind of person doctors hate. And germophobia is like fear of germs. But again, like, that's another thing. People say they're germophobic because they wash their hands often or whatever. That's not germophobia. You're just clean. That's fine. If you wash your hands a lot, like after like 2 or 3 or 10 times a day, even 10, like what, that's fine, you're just a clean person. You're fastidious. Germophobia would be like your hand touches the door handle of a public restroom, and you feel like a burning feeling on your hand because you're psychosomatically imagining like rot clinging to you, and you like immediately have to wash your hand, or you start freaking out or hypervent. It doesn't always have to be that severe. I'm just saying, like, yeah. I worked for a guy whose kid literally had to take a shower every time he took a shit. Would you say that's germophobia? That might just be autism, or possibly OCD. Routine-based fixations can be an autism thing or an OCD thing, but it really, really, really depends. A hypochondria is a legitimate condition. Well, whatever it is, it makes people annoying to doctors. That's true. What about fear of a specific streamer? Is that germophobia? Nice one. That one's good. What about a fear of 5'2" serial murderers? Germophobia. Hang on.